Today, October 3rd, 2022, it is 2 p.m. Fresh Waterways Advisory Board, I call this meeting to order. All right, so we'll do a roll call. Phyllis and Greg and John and Grant. And I know that Eric is not going to be here. Robert will not be coming to our meetings anymore as he's actually leaving city employment. And Joe Hubachek, well, I knew he was not going to be here as he was having some medical stuff. All righty, so we'll move on. And then for Sarah, city clerk, sorry.
Oh, I was wanting you to read the agenda.
Oh. And let's see, so for guests, we have Bob and Carol Rhodes and Jim Goldman. Golden. I don't know. All right. All right, and then online we have Don Williams. That's it.
Yep.
All righty. We'll just wait to see. What?
That's the question.
We'll just find out who this is. All right, so you can go ahead and have a seat.
Yeah, I've just got a couple of questions.
All right, well, yeah, you go ahead and have a seat and we'll get to that time.
Okay.
And your name, sir?
Eddie Pellis, P-E-L-S. P-E-L-A-S.
All righty, and then Don Williams, can you hear us? Are you online? Yeah. All righty.
Yes, I can hear you fine.
All right, thank you. Okay, so nobody else, right? All right. So approval of minutes of September 19th, just 2 weeks ago. Our meeting, I sent those out this last Friday. So first is, do I have any board members that would like to discuss the minutes or have a proposed change or modification to the minutes? No, all right, so do I have a motion to accept the September 19, 2022 meeting minutes as written? Presented.
I make a motion to accept the presented.
Thank you, Phyllis. Second, Greg, and all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you. All righty, so we'll go to public comment next. So now on our public comment, just as a reminder, it's you have your 3 minutes, right? Just the same as you have in city council. It's not a back and forth, so we don't do question and Q&A time. But if you have any comment that you would like to make, please do so. All righty. So Bob.
I think the one comment I'd like to see follow through on is education for the public. And you showed me that binder that you received. And that was one that was done after we did our large binder. But maybe a combination of the two, or, and I forgot, I do have a folder that we used to use that was submitted by Fish and Wildlife, that blue little booklet. Remember that we all had to have in our possession to do any shoreline management. I have it in my car.
Okay.
I'll submit that today, but that had a lot of great information about weed control and such. So I think education has got to be reinstated by someone. The city, they should take the lead. We can assist them, but people don't know anything about what goes on here. New people have come to town, and those who live here also need to be reminded about using heavy phosphorus and nitrogen fertilizers and such, and all those things that are contributing to the weed load, to the load.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Bob. Carol.
I'm thinking that maybe, what's your opinion? In the spring, I might start getting more signatures. This time, maybe wait till I have 1,000. I was told to turn them in pretty last time because of the election. But would another 1,000 signatures help move things along or not?
Sounds well with more people behind the back.
The same thing, should I just leave it as was written?
Well, I'll talk with you guys before you,
Okay,
I'll come over and talk with you guys. All right, and so Jim,
Well, to kind of shoestring on what Bob said, I personally have lived out here for about 6 years. And I received basically nothing from the realtors when I arrived, so if it hadn't been for, I believe her name was Nettie at the office down there, and the information I got there, and Keith at the library here, and about the meetings and stuff, I would have found nothing else. So personally, I would like to see a welcome package given out by the realtors when people sign their paperwork. And inform them about the waterways, about the restaurants. Basically, anybody that wants to put an advertisement in the packet, maybe with a discount coupon, first meal, on Ocean Shores or something like that, and kind of getting people informed and get them engaged in kind of what's going on out here, because a lot of people, they move out here and they don't really realize what we have here as far as opportunities that are in town, so.
all righty, great. All right. And so, Eddie, if you want to go ahead and just tell me what we won't go back and forth, but if you
Yeah, we
just let
just
me know
had
what
how-
the issues are.
We just had a house building. Point Brown,
Mhm,
on the canal,
mhm,
and I want it done right. We got those reeds there,
mhm,
and the water kind of gets stagnant back there and gets a film on it.
mhm,
Reddish looking algae.
mhm.
Anybody can get rid of that stuff where water flows freely.
Yeah,
That way you don't have the algae built up and stuff.
well, I'll tell you what I'll do is, I can give you some, people to contact
Yeah, okay.
specifically, right? Once we're done with the meeting, and it should not be a very long meeting.
Okay.
But that was your
I just want to know how
concern
things
in
like
Bateman?
this. I see people throw them reeds back in the water.
Oh,
You're not supposed to, so I just wanted to tell you, I know about that.
all
I
right,
don't want to do it right.
yeah, no, and we'll
Protect
definitely
the
want
waterway,
you. I don't see him here. Most time he's here. Marshall Reed, the city planner, has can talk about that all day. And I don't know if Nettie has much on shoreline management. I don't think she does. That's probably gonna be much more Marshall who deals with shoreline management, but I'll talk with you after the meeting.
Okay.
Okay, all righty. Was that the only issue along
Yeah,
those lines?
right now, and I know that not to use fertilizers on the grass, because that seeps into the water, makes stuff grow like crazy.
Gotcha. All right.
Want to do stuff right,
To do it
thank
right.
you.
protect the water.
Yeah, we appreciate that. We really do.
Got a gift there, Nice.
All righty, thank you, Eddie. And so, Don, do you have any public comment?
No comments today, just listening. Thank you.
Great, thank you, sir. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get into old business. So now one thing that I wanted to say, not just to the advisory board members, but also to the public, and this is on Zoom and all that, is what you look at our agendas that we've had at least for the last 3 years, and you look at where we started with all of the different types of projects and where we are today. I mean, I think that I know that we have made great strides. And whether it's the weed management, whether it's IAVMP, the lake management study, stormwater master plan, all of these things, right? Which, and then our budget, and we'll talk about that as we go on. But I just want to say thank you to everybody here on the board that has worked outside of these meetings and working with the city and city council members to get us moving in this direction. So, all right. So the first topic is the weed management for 2022. So again, our meeting was 2 weeks ago. We had, the discussion with Doug Dorling. I'm leaving it there until we're done with weed management for this year. So all that we're waiting for right now is for Doug Dorling to provide the final survey product. And when he does that, I think last year it was right around Thanksgiving time. So,
It was late
I'll,
because treatment was late.
right, I'll give him a little ring and see if we can't get that done sooner rather than later. And then he can, well, I'll see if he can come out here again, like he did last time, and do a full presentation, and then we can have that open dialogue directly with him on that, okay? You guys have anything you want to talk about specifically on the weed management for this year? No, all right. IAVMP. So where we are with IAVMP is we're at the steering committee, establishing the steering committee, right? So what I would like to do with the board members' concurrence is I would like to, all of us, including Joe, who's not here. I would like also to have Eric present at that. I don't know if he can cut out a 4-hour time in his schedule, but I'll invite him when we get the date pinpointed. I would like to officially invite Bob and Carol Rhodes to be part of the steering committee, and Jim Golden to be part of that steering committee. They're here all the time. Gina McCauley. I don't know if you guys know Gina. She actually has a wealth of information with dealing with herbicide treatments, not just aquatic weeds, but different types of herbicides. And so I think maybe she could bring us a little bit of knowledge when it comes to that, right? And in the state of Washington, right? So she was a trainer on how to properly use herbicides for the state of Washington, okay? Then also there's a local resident, I forget her last name, Sarah, you might be able to help me out, but Valentina. Go Rad, right? Go Lad?
Yeah.
Okay, Go Lad, Valentina. I know she's kind of busy during the day, but I thought, again, once we get the date pinpointed, we could invite her. Now, just so you know, Valentina, she's the individual who believes that there shouldn't be any type of herbicides or pesticides on our peninsula. Okay, now, the point of this whole steering committee is to try to get a group of people that represent the whole gamut of what can be done with weed management, right? So I think it's important to hear as many different sides as we possibly can, so that when we get this IABMP done and presented to the residents, it's not just from advisory board members. So your thoughts on that?
I think it's good to have minutes, but we do have
I
varying
agree.
opinions on all this stuff.
Everybody represented.
You guys up for it?
Sure.
Yeah.
It would be before you leave.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Right before you leave, like a day or two before you leave.
So.
And- And Jim, would you be willing to do that? Okay, so once I get that day set, just so you know, he got back to me this morning, Terry McNabb, who you guys have seen, here, doing the IVMP online. He cannot do the 17th and 18th. He can do the 26th or the 27th. Or the 28th, but you're leaving, and that's also a Friday. So I don't want to do that on a Friday for 4 hours. So does anybody have any issues with the 26th or 27th?
That's on Wednesday, Thursday.
It is.
I'm probably one.
Let me look. I'll
It's Wednesday and Thursday.
Wednesday and Thursday.
It's Wednesday, Thursday.
High possibility I'll be working, but what time would it be?
Around a 1 to 5-ish.
Yeah,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, because it's got to be.
I'd have to know exactly when and hopefully.
As soon as possible,
Yeah,
right?
Yep.
Well, I can tell you, I already talked with Keitha because she's here, and we cannot hold it here. As soon as I find another place, then it's set. He already came and told me he can do any one of those days.
Yeah, but
So
then
I just need to
also-
find a place. You think it'd be possible over at your place, or no, in that conference room?
We can't have the public.
Yeah.
I didn't
that's
think so.
not it.
I didn't think so. Okay.
Unfortunately, yes.
Do you know of another place I could?
About the Elks Club or Lions.
Or the Lions Club meeting.
What about-
Well, the Lions Club on Wednesday, isn't there that one meeting? That's always.
Well, we
Yeah,
have,
but it's-
we have a scheduler that takes care of the lines. I can't even say what days are occupied,
Right,
but there's, you get a hold of I think there's a website now for the Lions Club,
okay.
and there's one of the members who does the scheduling.
Now, the thing with this is not a public meeting. Sarah, this is not a public meeting, so we don't have to have Zoom. This is strictly a meeting for the steering committee to meet. So we're not gonna do Zoom. We don't have to hold it in some place that is where everyone is accessible, handicap, all that stuff. So if I found an alternate place,
What about the senior center? They have that bathroom that used to be in the meeting.
So-
well, the
so
senior
like
center, I
all
was
the
thinking the community
cooler,
club.
Can't even hear yourself.
Does the
But-
convention center not have to use some of the smaller ones?
You have to pay.
Yeah. So anyways, what I'll do is I'll talk with you, Sarah, offline about this, just to, kind of pick your brain on other places. I don't know, what do you think about the one in the fire? Is, if we did that, if I let them know in advance?
Yeah, that's where I was thinking, but I can work on a couple places and
Okay,
call a few people and see.
all right. I mean, if worst comes to worst, we can do it in Phyllis's beautiful backyard now. All that work she's doing. But the point was, that we don't have to have Zoom, but I do know he has to have capability we can look at things on the screen, up on the TV and things like that. So, all right, more on that later. Anything else on IVNP right now? No? Okay, all right. All right, Lake Management Study Stormwater Master Plan. So here's the quick update. Lake Management Study and Stormwater Master Plan, those are two different plans or two different things, right? The Stormwater Master Plan, Robert is actually, before he leaves, he's going to have the RFQ completed for that Stormwater Master Plan. And he's giving me some information on a possible point of contact who may do that if it goes before city council. And we can work with that person. Okay, Lake Management Study, the money is still set aside from council, the 165. And I'll talk with, you don't happen to know anything about that, do you, Marshall? Probably not.
Pretty limited on that.
Yeah. So I'll try to maybe just pinpoint Robert. He's leaving on Wednesday, Thursday this week.
Yeah, I think so. And he's kind of filling me in and figuring out what projects are gonna go where. I did get a list today of which projects are gonna be distributed to which individuals. I'll take a look at that.
Okay. All right. So I'll do a little bit more picking on that. Lake Management Study, Robert sent to Bruce and to myself, he sent a lake management study that was completed, I forget, it wasn't too long ago, but by a different community in the state of Washington. It was very, very lengthy. And I read through a good portion of it, and at the end of the day, it represents, I think, mostly of what we're looking for. He was just trying to figure out how to do an RFQ for it and things like that. So that my feedback to him was, yes, that's what we're looking for in that area. So any questions or comments on the lake management study? Okay, it's moving forward. Money is set. We're just gonna now have to kind of figure out what the next step is. Okay. All righty. So next, 2023-2024 biennium budget. Here's the update with that. Phyllis and I did not meet with the mayor and Angie last week, as the mayor has forwarded our budget as we presented to city council for them to, I guess, do their work on what they're going to do with it. Is that correct, Sarah?
Correct.
All
I'll
right.
go through and yes, no, yes, no, yes, no down the whole list
Okay.
of everything.
of everybody. But we didn't have to have the meeting as the mayor or Angie didn't have questions, and they are presenting it to city council as we presented it to them. Okay? And as soon as I know anything, I'll let everyone know. Okay? Any questions on that or concerns? All righty. And in that, remember, was a big budget for boobies. Okay. All righty. So our new business board officers, we have anxiously been, awaiting this, and we pushed it a couple of times. So here we are. So here is, I think maybe the easiest way just to propose it is that both Phyllis and I will agree to continue as the chair, the co-chair, until the next election period for this board is due in June of 2023. But that would obviously need to be a majority vote. So do you guys have any discussion? And I know Joe's not here, but I had told him that we were going to talk about this, and unfortunately he just couldn't be here, and he's not on Zoom. So.
I think it's a most excellent idea.
How did I know you were going to say that? Right, but just so that we're clear on this is until the next cycle, right, in June, right? And then we're really going to have to kind of do some discussing about this between now and June of the way forward. Okay. So, Greg, do you have any discussion, comments?
No,
No?
I agree with that route.
All right, Grant?
It's fine with me. We've done a lot done under your leadership.
Okay, all righty. So all those in favor?
All right.
Aye. Well, that was easy. Okay, see, I told you guys it was gonna be an easy meeting, right? Fast meeting. Okay, all right, so good of the order. Phyllis,
I just, we need to look at those buoys and get them moved, get that resolved. And maybe get some more ordered.
do you know where we can place them?
We were gonna go look.
We're gonna look and then we'll
And then we will decide.
All right. Anything else?
I'm good.
Greg?
I'd just like to echo the suggestion for education. I think it's a great idea. The realtor we had was great about it. We wanted to live on the canals, and they were very helpful. What to do, what not to do. But yeah, definitely more info out there would be really great.
Well, on a side note on that, I spent, it was probably 5 years ago. A lot of time talking with realtors and also with Nettie and about doing a package to be handed out. And nobody was enthusiastic about it. Nettie said they have the material there in her office that they give out. It's too hard to keep everything current with the realtors so that they are giving out the correct information. Now, when Tanya was on the board, she was supposed to work with me and realtors to do that. And again, we did not have a successful program put in place.
So one thing that I will say about the education is that is on our list of priorities, right? Which we have, remember we talked about this last time, is I pushed that off, didn't keep bringing it to the agenda because we just had so much on our plate that we seriously needed to get through, and we have really powered through a lot of this stuff. So, but it's there. And I know we talked about it. I think maybe we kind of stopped right around COVID.
Yes.
Right? Not blaming COVID, just that we kind of moved on to different things.
accessible.
And now we don't even hear COVID anymore, so we're moving on.
I'm willing to talk with Nettie again to see what she has and see what she has to say. And I do know a couple of the realtors. And we can start over. I mean, but it just was not a very positive feeling that we were getting.
Well, I'm wondering if maybe there's one thing that we could talk about doing is a ad hoc committee from the advisory board specifically for education, right? And especially if there's anybody who, you know, have can put things together so it makes sense, you know, good typing and all of that kind of thing. What were you gonna say, Marshall?
In the past 6 months or so, I can tell you that primarily as the planning department is in charge of shorelines within the city, the building department, with as much work has been going on over there, they've been shoving everything my way. And I have been pushing as much educational material, flow charts and things like that out to the real estate agents, to the delineators, and to every homeowner that calls. And I field several calls every week. You know, people wanting to know what they can do on the shoreline as far as, vegetation maintenance, installation of docks, maintenance of existing structures, that kind of stuff. So when you guys get ready, I think it would be most appropriate to run that through the planning department as opposed to trying to involve the building department in something that really isn't their.
Yeah, they just had some flyers there on there.
Yeah, and we can figure out what those flyers had on them. One of the things I ran into is there was some old information that was being passed out that wasn't compliant with today's code. And I want to make sure that whatever we put out there isn't going to get somebody in trouble with ecology or the Corps.
And that was one of the concerns that they were voicing when
Yeah.
I was talking about it. It was too difficult to make sure that everybody was giving out the correct information because they didn't keep it.
Yeah,
up to date.
and we are currently going through another revision of the shoreline master program, as we speak, and there will be some revisions to the code. And
So
so it
maybe-
might be a good idea to wait until after that's done and adopted, and then provide some sort of an educational packet that will give people a good idea on the
Do you
do's and
know
don'ts.
when that timeframe is?
There's a deadline. I think it's around the first, no, it's later than the first of the year. I can get that to Steve and he can share that with the group.
Yeah, it makes sense to wait until after the plan is in place and approved.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of changes that are gonna be made to it. Most of them are regulatory changes that came from the federal government or the state government that are required to be in our plan. So they're just gonna be dovetailing the new regulations in and then there's a couple of new things that will be introduced, but nothing significant.
But maybe,
Okay.
Greg, since your realtor was so willing to help, maybe I could have a chat with her, I don't know. It could have been them, how's that? I could chat with them and see what they think the main, it's like we need to answer the questions that are being asked the most.
Well, and his realtor is very easy to deal with.
Yes,
So, yeah, the same realtor as mine.
and yeah, sure, they would be.
Very
Well,
easy.
Okay, okay.
Well, so you want to know what then? Okay. I'll just bury that thought for now. Okay. Anything else on the education?
It's surprising and encouraging that you're getting several calls a week from residents where, they're concerned about their doing everything.
Well, I put enough people in front of the courts
Yeah.
early in my
Oh,
tenure that people are all of a sudden like, wow, the city's gonna follow the rules.
All right.
Wow, going to courts. All right, yes, ma'am.
I would like to be a part of that, Phyllis, because of the online part.
Yes.
We created a community outreach that then we went and handed out to all the realty companies, and they've proven very helpful. So even if it's not a ton of information, like all of it, it's like a point of reference bifold document that we give out. And then we take that and we format it so that all of that information is on the website, and it could be under fresh waterways, and then it references all of the places to find basically an FAQ, but just so that we're putting online exactly what you're putting out. Right, and don't have different stuff, so.
Right, now, and also, one thing to note is the IABP will actually have some real good information in there as well, so there'll probably be plenty of resources that we would get, yeah, exactly, and put something really great together. Okay. All right, anything else? Great. All righty, John.
Just, first, when you opened up about the accomplishments this group has done, and that starts with the leadership, so. Okay, thank you, Phyllis, for guiding us through this, and then secondly, I just want to say. I agree with the roads group that, yeah, education is something that's really needed, and. We did the wine and weeds, the corporation did the wine and weeds annually until everything went sideways, COVID and some illnesses. But it was always quite successful, and we got information out to the people. We did a good job promoting it, big show ups at the Lions Club. And I think, yeah, I would like to see something like that. Steve and I've talked about it, fired up again. And yesterday, don't know how many do the Facebook things, but there's quite a few things that pop up on the waterways with the Ocean Shores, different Facebook pages. And yesterday, answered a lot of questions. There's a lot of misinformation about our waterways, a hell of a lot. There's a lot of assumptions. There's a lot of, I was told, I've heard, and that is something that bothered us with the corporation. It's something that bothers with the advisory board is there's so much misinformation out there about our waterways. So yes, Bob and Carol, I think, along with the realtors and whoever can give out packets of information, I would love to see like another perhaps annual meeting, get together, whatever, education here.
Okay, all right. Well, what I was gonna say to that is what I, talking along with the education, and if you go to the osgov.com and then go under Freshwater Ways Advisory Board, you'll see that I have asked Sarah to place stuff there, right? So we've already started with survey plan that Doug did last year's final product was put on there. She has all of our recordings. These right here are on there. All of our minutes are there. And I think that's kind of where what you were alluding to, Sarah, is getting information, on the internet. Me, for one, I don't want to get going on Facebook, but it's the devil anyway. But at any rate, the point is everybody needs to, realtors, city employees, city council members, just us in general, need to, when somebody is asking a question about what to do with their property on the fresh waterways, we really need to establish whether it's under the Freshwater Ways Advisory Board city page or that it goes to a different type of page. But everybody should have that one-stop shop, not what's going on Google, not what's going on Facebook. It should be, this is the information, right? So that's where, and maybe the education, now that I'm thinking about it, under the education and the list of priorities, maybe we're kind of thinking too big. I'll sit out the list of priorities again and you'll see that. Maybe we need to think much smaller and then we go big with it. Right. And so in other words, it's not too insurmountable. And then we just keep building, we talk with the city planners or city clerk, and we get all of that information, right? And get it on there. So, okay.
Well, if I
hear
may,
you.
this one that popped up yesterday, the day before, was somebody, hey, that there's algae in front of my house on the canals. I thought it was treated, this is disgusting, it's horrible. So it's not necessarily, a lot of it is not. Okay, there's information available on the city website, but it doesn't address, like concerns. And once somebody pops up with algae, or I see algae, every dog, cat, animal in the peninsula here is gonna die tomorrow. And that's the way it happens.
Well, that's a good point.
There's
but-
a lot of misinformation.
Right, that's a good point, but I just don't think that citizens should be going to Facebook to find the answer.
No,
Right, citizens should be going to an official web unless there was, like the city has an official Facebook site, and if they put something out, well, okay, that's fine. But just posting on, God only knows what those crazy ocean shores and North Beach pages, I mean, that's just, me personally, I don't understand that. And maybe something to say as well is say, well, why are you not coming to the advisory board like Eddie showed up here to ask questions? Why are you not coming to this meeting so you can ask the people
Right.
who advise the city?
and that's one of the things, like with this conversation we were having, is I promoted very much the advisory board meetings. So you can, go so far, but
And they just want to nitpick,
hmm,
just want to nitpick.
but there's people that are truly concerned and do not know. And that goes back to what I was saying. Somebody asked a question about algae. Well, you've got a bunch of people misinformed, no idea what they're talking about. All of a sudden, well, yeah. There's six feet of muck in the bottom of the canals, that's where everything goes to die, and that's why we stink, that's why we do this, that's why we have algae, that's why we have. And so,
Well, I mean, one thing is to say, well, you want to know what? We don't even treat for algae here. That's a whole different type of treatment.
and
right?
there was some miscommunication
Right.
about that.
Right.
I thought they treated for algae, no, there was no treatment for algae.
Well, so, going back to what you said, the wine and weeds, I do think, and Phyllis and I, we were just talking about it yesterday, right? Is that I felt was extremely beneficial, right? I know that when I first got here and I found out about wine and weeds, I think either Bob or Drew some way, or maybe it was even Tom Kenzie, right? Was talking about the wine and weeds, and I went to that, and it was very, very, so very helpful, and then you just sort of build on that. But I still think that folks really need to have that one-stop shop thing, and we definitely need to get better about posting stuff on there, whether it's the when Doug does the treatment, the notice, we could have put that on there so that people could see that, look, we're not treating for algae, right? We're treating and these are the specific weeds that are being targeted with these specific herbicides. So, but that's good to know. That's good to know. Did you go back and tell the people they should come to the advisory board meeting?
I did.
Okay, good. Good.
There was
You're
a
not
couple
here.
of people that asked about meetings. And I just, 2:00 first Monday every month
Right.
at the library.
You show up and we can talk about it. Okay. You have anything else, John?
Not, that's it.
Grant?
Addressing one of the comments that the visitors said. They came here and they didn't know anything about the waterway.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of people who live down here and don't even know we have a lake.
Mhm.
And
Two
so,
lakes.
and then the next step is, well, we have a nice waterway, but where all these weeds come from? And so, and then they learn more. Is what can we do? They can start to cover the meetings, but we've been working on this, the weed problem for a long time. And we went to great extent to solve the weed problem in another field. We put in their expensive cart specially designed to clean the LED out. They can't do the whole thing, but they can do part of it. And then we get a partner in our battle that I'm not sure whose side they're on. It's the Fish and Game. And the Fish and Game ought to have their feet held to their own books, because in page about 5, they say all lakes in Washington are protected to the carp. Cannot fish them. And then in the back it says special lakes, they call them duck lakes, says you can get all the carp you want, anytime, no minimum size, no limit. And so here they're taking expensive carp, we got them to be part of our weed control. And then they open game on them, they'll take them all out. And then we have an excess of perch in the water. And they eat the bass fingerlings before they get big enough to eat the perch. And so we have a no-win battle there until we get the perch under control and protect the carp. And we used to have every month professional bass fishermen down here running a contest. And they stopped coming down because there's not many bass in there. They are in there, but all the fingerlings are getting ate by the perch. And so you ought to tell all the fishermen if they get perch, put them in their garden. Don't put them back in the lake. And you know, I've been here about 25 years, and I've seen a lot. People have done a lot of work, and so I hate to see that forget the all the bass fishing and all the business that the bass have brought us. And so, anyway, that's enough. Enough said.
Yeah, well, I don't know, maybe we need to, maybe the right time to address that with Fish and Wildlife, because they'll be part of the lake management study.
Yeah,
And maybe that's a good time to sit down and
yeah,
have a good conversation with them about
yeah,
what's going on, and then maybe that's something where that can be addressed to the city on the whether they should or should not.
but this was like this for how many years have we been trying to do that? And it's been in the fishing regulations.
Yeah.
This lake was open for carp. And they promised that
Well, we did have,
they were gonna correct the regulations. Never did.
Yeah, well, maybe
the
it's just.
the city did though.
Yeah.
The city did an ordinance, I guess, to not allowing
Yeah,
part. But I just, with Fish and Game, last wine and weed we had, there was a rep from Fish and Game there. But as Phil has pointed out, whereas the information that was used was so archaic. This guy standing there, oh, I love the waterways and ocean shores, we spend, oh, we love being here, but your information is 10, 15 years old about the waterways.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had that same issue, if you remember, when they came and we had a meeting with just them. And it was definitely not based on old information. So Fish and Wildlife, and actually, I think that's under our list of priorities as well. This is
They need to come out and do a survey.
that's right.
And-
And yeah. Oh, wow, okay. Anything else, Grant?
no,
No, okay. All righty, okay, so for mine, I just have two quick things. Is one quick buoy update. So I went over and met with the chief, and I saw the buoys. They're just right behind the police station there. And I did see, I mean, some serious delamination on these buoys, right? And they haven't even been put into the water. So what we're gonna do, what she did was she took a bunch of pictures. And then forwarded to me, I got those to Jenny Belcher. And the city purchasing, she sent those pictures to the company that they purchased the 10 buoys from. And late last week, they replied to her, thank you, we got it, and we're gonna forward this on to their distributor, right? And that Jenny would hear back from them. And so I haven't seen anything come back from Jenny, and she's really great about, on the ball with sending stuff when she gets updated. So as of now, our plan is, and Chief is fine with this, is that we will get the buoys. Phyllis and I are gonna go to the barn, and we're gonna look to see best place to put all these buoys and the anchors. They're all over there. We'll go pick them up, get them into the barn, and then also, I think, coordinate maybe with Public Works. I'll talk with the chief again about chain. She didn't have a chain, right? Knows that they bought the chain, she just doesn't have it. And then we'll get all of that put in there, and then it's gonna be back on our plate for early spring for us to get those buoys into the water, okay? And what we'll do between now and then is obviously make sure that we've got all of the materials. We might even have to put those delaminated buoys in there. I don't know, right? We gotta figure out what's going on with that. I mean, they're not tearing apart. You can just see where they're kind of starting to bubble, behind the wrap. And then we'll work with the chief or who she wants us to work with on, and we'll agree to where they're gonna be placed. Because I don't think we need to go out there and get on our own program and say, hey, chief, this is where we place the buoys. I'd much rather sit down with them. We agree where those 10 buoys are gonna be best used. And then we'll work with the corporation, Grant, and then we'll get those things placed way before we start seeing a bunch of boaters back in home.
Make sure the chain and all the shackles are galvanized.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Stainless steel.
Okay, so that's the buoy update. All right, and then second was, I've written down here, I think we're all on the same sheet of music, Fresh Waterways Advisory Board priorities next meeting. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get that chart that we've been working on, and I'm gonna get it all updated with everything that we've accomplished over about the last 6 to 9 months, get it all updated. I'm gonna send that back out to you guys. Okay, you guys can just look over it, kind of, think about it, whatnot. I'm not gonna ask anyone to prioritize any of that, right? It'll just be there, and then we'll start the next meeting with that. Okay, and figure out what's next big priority and low hanging fruit, things like that. Okay. So that's mine. Okay, the next meeting is going to be Monday, November 7th at 2 p.m. here at the Ocean Shores Library. Okay, all righty. So let's see. It's 2:48. Shortest meeting yet. And I adjourn this meeting. Thank you all very much. So, Betty, remember I was telling you about the guy who you want to talk to, so you're right next to you.
Okay. No,
That's Marshall on there.
before him,
Yeah.
we just moved back again from Vegas. This is a paradise, Vegas, and